Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 19. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Mondays with Mello, and, it's time to delve inside of my mind. So, today, I'm going to go into full detail of writing a book from beginning to when it officially goes live on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and all other websites that I publish on. So, before I start, I'm going to read a quick little quote from Danny Jorgensen, and it goes like this. Writing is a journey of self-discovery. It's when we discover who we are that it becomes truly remarkable. So, that's a little something for you to start this podcast off today. So, here we go. When I meet people and we start discussing, what we do and, what our passions are, I tell people I'm a writer and I'm an author and, I write on social issues, things like that. And it's just funny, like the astonished faces that I see, but it's amazing in a lot of ways. I think like for people, it's like this like surreal feeling that they're actually speaking to a published author type of thing. So I don't know, like I guess this is a phenomenon now where it's this grand surprise that they're meeting someone who writes books. I guess it's because the big name authors that, people read about or listen to their audiobooks or whatever the case is, they know, like, what are the chances that I'm gonna, run into J.K. Rowling or, Stephen King or James Patterson or, and then, the people that write on social issues, like Michelle Alexander or Eric Michael Dyson and, all of those, great people, Alex Haley, who wrote Malcolm X, so it's like, what are the chances that I'm going to like run into those type of people that are, big name, known authors and things of that nature. So, people ask me what I write about, how I do it and, if I, have a publishing company that's backing me and, then I get to this place where I'm like, well, I'm a self-published author. I do everything on my own. Like 90% of it is pretty much all on me. And, there's the, oh, wow, like, really? Everything? Yeah, nearly everything, right? So, I'm going to make things a little easier for everyone. I'm going to literally break down the whole process of doing everything when it comes to being a self-published author. The first part of all this is the brainstorming sessions that I have. Brainstorming sessions can last anywhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours, right? Most of the time, my brainstorming sessions are between 45 minutes and an hour, right? Now, for me, this is the most important process, and I feel, honestly, for anyone in general, this is the most important process to any book that you will ever write, right? And even if you're, doing other projects or, you're working on a business that you're, looking to create or anything else, like, because this applies to everything in a nutshell, but this is the writing journey, right? So I have a blue book that I used to write in. Now I've kind of shifted. Then I shifted to a black book that I was writing in. And now I'm kind of writing in another book. So it's like, it's a, one book for like every year and a half, give or take. And I use these books to write pretty much every single idea or concept for a book, writing to-do lists, along with writing the chapters and the outlines for how I'm going to write my books, right? So basically, in a nutshell, it's just me writing anything and everything that comes to my mind. even if it doesn't sound right away, it doesn't make sense. Certain chapters may not, may not fit. Certain chapters can be put into, other chapters to where they, it makes sense and it flows. Things of that nature, right? So every book that I've written, I go through brainstorming sessions. And some books it takes a day. Sometimes it's 1 to 3 days where I'm fully planning out a series. So for an example, Kids with Guns, that series was a good 2 to 3 days of me planning out that whole series. So, with series, I try to plan out everything in a nutshell on how I'm going to write the series. I don't do it one book at a time, because sometimes, you can, for me, I can get lost in writing a book and then trying to figure out what's next. So I've kind of learned that along the way, and that's, a great way of, how I work, right? So a lot of times it can go longer, but I think once I write down the chapters and how I want to write my outline on how I'm going to write my books, I will write what will be discussed in each chapter, and what characters I'm incorporating, developing a storyline, and making sure that I'm going to be able to write everything and bring the story out. There's also creating, a backstory, to certain characters and, experiences that they may have dealt with or been through that could potentially relate to the reader when they're reading the book, right? A lot of this comes natural to me. And maybe it's because I've been writing since I was a young kid. And for me, I've been honing my craft for so long, and I've been writing, different things, for the longest time. I've been writing the shorter poems and things of that nature and working on, little projects here and there. So maybe that's the potential reason for why, a lot of this comes natural to me. A lot of, my talents and abilities I know I have because of God, and, because, I believe that I was blessed with, the ability to write. So that's, the brainstorming sessions. And, if you are to read, my blogs and stuff like that on my website, we're on aquarianmindwrites.com, and you look at my Book Insight Fridays and you read my blogs at the bottom of my blogs after I finish writing everything, you'll see a lot of, various notes that I've written. Some of it's going to be neat, and some of it's going to be mumbo jumbo and scrambled. So The Struggles and Growth of the Man, it looks great and neat, but you start reading Code Blue and, especially the Kids with Guns series, you're going to see arrows and, so much written on those pages in my book. So the next part of this is the book title. And to be honest, it's really harder than what you think. You don't want to have the same book title as other authors, because honestly, it gets lost in the shuffle in book websites. And to be honest, you want to grab a person's attention and you want to get them intrigued. And sometimes I still have that issue, with that part, but I continually, look to work on being better at it, right? So your book title, you don't want it to sound boring. You don't want it to sound too generic. And you want it to appeal to someone to where if they come across your book right away, they're going to go, ooh, what's that? You don't want to lose sight of that, So, Code Blue and Ode to the Badge and Gun, that's self-explanatory, right? Everyone, knows in a nutshell that Code Blue means police, right? The Struggles and Growth of a Man. I wonder what that means. I wonder what that will consist of, right? So you're intrigued more. Now you want to know what that synopsis is, right? Kids with Guns. That can go of various directions, right? Could be kids with guns, with kids killing each other, right? But then when you go into looking into what it's about, you read the synopsis, you realize that it deals with a school shooting. and it deals with gun control in America, right? So it's all in grabbing a person's attention. America under mind control, right? Wait a minute. I'm under mind control? What does that mean? You know? America, a country divided. I wonder what that means. We're divided? How? Right? The world in ruins. Wait a minute. Wait. The world's not in ruins. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you're going to wonder what that title exactly means, right? So it's all in, how you want to bring out, the title of that book, and you got to make sure that it grabs the person's attention, right? So the next aspect is writing the book. And this is how I do it in my order. Some people will write the synopsis before they write the book. I write the book and then figure out, 4 to 5 sentences to really break down the book, but not totally give it away to where you're still intrigued by what, you're intrigued by the book cover, you're intrigued by the synopsis. Now you're going to click to read what I wrote and, the little preview, and then you decide, what you want to do from there, right? So now it's writing the book. Now, for some people, this is the hardest part. And here's the reason why. It's not writer's block. That's not always that. It's people's schedules, lives, kids, families, distractions, and plenty of other things, right? Now, if you have a goal to finish writing a book by a certain time, please do your due diligence and stick to it. I talk to people, who ask me about the process of publishing a book, and, I go through, the necessary steps of certain questions, and I ask, have you written the book? And a lot of people can give me the answer of not yet. I will always consistently tell people you cannot skip the important steps before getting to the publishing process, right? So you got to write. And you got to write consistently, no matter what. Now, it doesn't take long for me to write books, and it's because I really buckle down and get to work. So I can write a book in a weekend. Sometimes I can write a book in two to 3 weekends. It all depends, right? This also means that I don't go out much. I'm not the guy that's going to be hanging around with my friends all the time, and I don't really, let things distract me too much. Here and there, I get distracted by, sports and TV shows and things of that nature. But in a nutshell, I know what my goals are. And for me to have written as many books as I have, I'm not that distracted. But in all honesty, I hold myself accountable for me being lackadaisical and goofing around and things like that. Honestly, if you need someone to keep you on track and push you to continue to be consistent in your writing, do that. Especially someone who has done it or is doing it or whatever the case is. Otherwise, you're just never going to finish your book, and you're going to continue to concoct excuses as to why you can't finish your book or you haven't finished it or whatever the case is. So writing is consistent. You've got to carve out time, whether it's an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 30 minutes a day. Do that. You can decide how many pages you want to write. You can decide how many words you want to write. You can decide how many chapters you want to write, whatever it is. For me, I don't set, a certain amount of chapters I'm going to write or a certain amount of words or anything like that. For me, I just flow with it. I go and I just let things come to me. And some people can do that, some people can't. I'm not saying do anything like me. Honestly. I'm telling you, do what you feel is right. Do what you're comfortable with. And enjoy the process. Editing and proofreading is the next step of this. And honestly, I do this myself. Why? Because, well, it's my book, my content, so why wouldn't I do it myself, right? Now, I do miss things here and there. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I haven't read a perfect book in my life. I'm just gonna sit here and tell you that too. Certain sentences can be worded differently to sound right. Sometimes a word or two gets misspelled. That's just part of the process. The biggest part of it is if your book is formatted correctly and can be read efficiently, you're good to go. Now, there are plenty of editors and proofreaders. You can find them on Fiverr. And if you want to pay someone to read over your book, go for it. If you're not someone that wants to proofread what you wrote, that's perfectly fine. For me, it's just I have a comfort level, and it's more for a budgeting standpoint where I don't want to pay someone $40 to do that when I can pay $40 to do book promotion, or I can pay $40 to, do an interview on a radio show or whatever the case is. So it's up to you. For me, I'm trying to find ways to keep my costs down when it comes to certain things like that. I personally think it'll benefit you in the long run, especially if you're a new author. So for me, every book that I've written, I've edited it and proofread it myself. The next step is formatting your book. Now, formatting for ebook version and formatting it for paperback version. Because, you're going to really, in a nutshell, you're really going to format it for both versions. You're going to publish both versions because, well, some people are ebook readers, some people are paperback readers, and some people are audiobook listeners. So, who would have thought that, in 2021, that we're doing 3 versions of books when I would say about 30 years ago, 20 to 30 years ago, you're only really reading a paperback version. You got to go to a library or you got to go to a bookstore to get a book. But anyway, you want to make sure that your paperbacks come out right. That's going to be your bread and butter. Your ebooks is going to be important too. You don't want your book to look sloppy, unreadable. Ebooks, you want your chapters to be clickable because people will be reading an ebook. Let's say your book is 15 chapters and they read the first 5 and they're going to come back to your book later. When they close out that app, they're going to come back to it. And they're going to want to hit that chapter. They want to click that chapter button in your table of contents on your ebook and be able to take them right back to where they left off, right? So that's huge. While there are plenty of places and websites and you can use, I've in the past gone with Fiverr to get someone to format my books, but now I format things myself. And it allows me to really learn how, to do all of these things. There is a website called streetlib.com. It's based out of I'm going to say Italy. Don't worry, the website's not all in Italian. It's you can read it in English. But I utilize that, and that's how I'm able to create ebook, EPUB, Mobi, and paperback versions of my books. And, they come out great. And I'm thankful for that. And, if I miss something or something doesn't look right, I will go through the process of editing it and changing it and making sure that everything sounds right. And when you do things yourself, always remember to put your copyright aspect of it. You can find it, on copyright websites where you can, utilize, a copy and paste thing to let people know that your stuff is yours and only yours. So you're not getting into any issues down the road, with, your publishing. And depending on how long your book is, word count, sizing, stuff like that, when you're done with formatting it, that's, where you'll be able to determine your price, things like that. But if you choose to use Fiverr to have someone, do the formatting for your book. Just make sure that it's reasonably priced, and you let them know exactly what you're looking for. Most people know that you're looking for, EPUB and, a PDF. PDFs are the best versions to use for publishing your paperbacks. Book covers. You do not have to spend $500 for a book cover. You don't. In previous podcasts, when I shared about not wanting a book deal, I went through the process of talking about book covers, and I have used Fiverr for a few people. Actually, a few people actually, for my Cold Blue series, America Under Mind Control, One Drink Too Many, America Country Divided. Those things, those book covers, I definitely utilize people for, because I wanted my vision to fully come out. For my other books, I made them myself by using a website called canva.com. So it's CANVA. You can utilize their website. They also have an app. There are a lot of pre-made book covers that you can utilize. You can plug things in, things like that. You can also utilize images from shutterstock.com, and then you can plug that into making a book cover. It's a great website. Sometimes options are a little bit limited. So that's why I was able to, utilize people on Fiverr. There are so many great people on Fiverr that have done thousands of book covers, and they look amazing. So, go through the process, do your research, look at, the stuff that, these people have done, and these people are based all over the world, and they do pretty well for themselves. So a lot of times it's great to be able to support, these people, and, help them to, get their word out about them. So once you have your book cover made, you're good. Your spine is going to be important. I do the spine on Amazon, which the spine is basically the back part of it on Amazon. And hopefully one day on YouTube, I will go through the process of showing people how I do everything. I'll try to record myself and show people how I do everything. And that's that. So the synopsis, right? That's the brief book description of what your book is about. And you want to talk about your book, but you don't want to give it all away. You don't want to tell too much. You don't want to tell the whole story, in your synopsis, and if you give too much information about your book, then there's really no incentive to buy it, right? But then if you give too little, then it's not enticing enough to get someone to buy your book. So, catch-22, you got to be in between. You got to have that common ground to where you figure out what will work and exactly what won't. The good part is you can change it a few times before you even really fully publish your book and before it hits bookstores. And even when you publish it, you still can alter it and change it a little bit, right? But you want to stress the important aspects of the plot and the storyline, and really discuss your main character briefly. You have to draw in readers into what you're writing about and why. And, your why is going to be the biggest part. So a good 6 to 8 lines or sentences about your book should be sufficient enough to, draw readers in. And, if you need help with it, there's really nothing wrong with that. Always remember that. But, seek people that, know the process of publishing books and things of that nature. And, maybe you seek authors and things of that nature, right? So now comes the book publishing part. Yeah. Don't think this is the fun part, because it's not always the fun part. So, obviously you're going to publish your book on Amazon, right? Now, be mindful that Amazon is only 80% of your market. And for me, that's not enough for me. I want the whole spiel. So for me, my books aren't just on Amazon. They are in all other bookstores. So I don't utilize KDP Select. That whole KDP, read book pages and get paid that way. No. That's not my thing. And maybe I do one or two books down the road where it's just KDP Select only and those books are just in that bookstore, but time will tell. But anyway, Amazon, you want to have an account with them. So creating an account with Amazon, that's going to be huge and important. Now, if you already have Amazon Prime, cool. You don't need to create another account because you can utilize that same account. You do kdp.amazon.com, you sign in, and you go through the process of creating your book. And once again, like I said, I'll do my best one day in creating a YouTube video about it. Now, if you want to utilize the other bookstores and libraries and things of that nature, and you want to do it all in one shot, utilize draft2digital.com. So it's draft, the number 2, digital.com. So it's all one word. There are other websites that you can use that'll get your books all in one shot, but for me, Draft2Digital has been good to me the past few years. There have been no issues. There have been other companies that have tried to entice me to swing their way, but what I always stick to is if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. So Draft2Digital has an easy menu and layout to give you step-by-steps on getting your books out to all the readers. You get to choose what bookstores you want to publish them on. It saves you the time from having to create numerous accounts. So for me, my books are on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, Scribd, Kobo, Biblioteca, Baker and Taylor, and they're in a bunch of places. I get a couple of sales on Barnes & Nobles and Apple, here and there, and Kobo is occasional, but those are my main bookstores that I have them on, things of that nature. Paperbacks, you're gonna want to you can utilize Barnes and Nobles for that, and Amazon's going to be huge because Amazon does very well with paperbacks and stuff like that. Paperbacks, it's a little bit of a process with publishing. Ebooks, it's a process also. You want to have your keywords, you want to have the right categories, you want to have the book title. You got to decide, if you're writing your books in a series, things of that nature. You got to put your book cover in there. You got to put your file in there, things like that. Paperbacks, you got to put your book cover into there. You got to do the spine, things like that. If you decide to create a book cover and you wanted to have the spine done for you, you can have that done for you in regards to your paperbacks. But for me, I want to have that control, and everybody has their comforts and choices and things of that nature. Next comes pricing, which is, toward the end when you're on Amazon. And as a first-time author, it's honestly going to be up to you with pricing. But if you make your ebooks or paperbacks too high, sales are not going to be as prevalent. So making an ebook $4.99, $5.99, and you're an unknown author, it's not going to get you that far. I'm going to be brutally honest, and I've seen that for myself. Certain books I make 99 cents, some I make $1.99, and the most I go is $2.99 in regards to ebooks. Now, if you become great and well-known and things of that nature, or you get a book publishing deal, they're going to have a little bit more leeway and control over the pricing, so got to be careful with that. In regards to paperbacks, it honestly depends on how long the book is. So, for me, 70 to 80 pages, I'm going to go $6.99. 80 to 90, it's $8.99. Over 90, over 100 pages, I'm going to go $9.99. The highest book point I've gone is $10.99, and that's for The World We Live In, a book on social issues, part 3. And that's because that book is over 180 pages. So it's a different animal, and that's my longest book that I've written to date. And I don't know if I'll ever write a book that long ever again. But I always say never, right? So pricing is going to be important. You want to make sure that your books are affordable, things of that nature. Book reviews, sometimes that's going to be good to have before you publish your book, but sometimes you're not going to be able to get those book reviews. So I use this website called kbookpromotions.com, and you're able to, utilize their services for readers to buy your book and leave reviews. So it's good price points, it's affordable, and I'm not going to sit here and go through prices and all that stuff. I would rather you guys go on there, look, see what your options are, things like that. They offer various book services. It's ran by an older gentleman named Richard McCartney. He's a self-published author himself. Good guy, good dude. He's based out of, I know he's in Europe. I think he's in UK or Germany, something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head. I apologize. So, you utilize that. You can get a couple of book reviews. Reader's favorite, you can utilize that, but they don't post the reviews on the review section. You can utilize that to post like book reviews under your book and things of that nature. So, these are the options that you can utilize, and that's going to be important. And then, pretty much promoting your book and, reaching out to the masses, things like that, utilizing, various, book promotion websites, depending on what type of book you write. I don't want to sit here and throw out the websites because we all write in different categories and things of that nature. And certain book sites utilize like just romance or steamy romance, and then some do social issues, and some do women's fiction, and things like that. So it all depends. Some do self-help. So I can't toss out all these book websites, but what I will say is you can search on a Google search or DuckDuckGo or whatever, or Bing, and do best book promotion websites and do your research and look into it. I know Written Word Media is a good website, and I've utilized them before, and I've utilized a couple other ones and gotten a few book sales. But the goal is to get consistent book sales, and that's always going to be the grind and the journey. Amazon ads, you can utilize that. I've done that. BookBub ads, you can utilize that too. And Books Go Social, it's a good website. They'll do your Amazon ads for you. So this is the process that you go through as a self-published author. If you go through a book publishing company, a large percentage of this will not be part of the process, and you'll be able to kick back a little bit. But book publishing companies, they're going to pretty much have the final say because they're trying to recoup the money that they're investing into you. So with that said, that is the process with, writing a book from beginning all the way until it goes live. There's way more things that go on in between it, and I'll get to that stuff down the road. So with that said, that's my insight for today. Thank you for listening to Mondays with Mello. Stay tuned for Wednesday with motivation and inspiration, and Book Insight Friday. With that said, have a good week, everyone. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.